and our so-called vice president sit here and tell us that January the 6th is a date that will be engraved in our minds like the date of Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor. Really? They so insistent on calling this insurrection. I cannot concede to that. I'm still going to say there was no insurrection. You want me to believe that millions of Trump supporters, hundreds of thousands of Trump supporters, came to the Capitol for insurrection with no weapons. No weapons came for insurrection. Knowing God well that Trump supporters own 2/3 of all the guns in America, but they came to the Capitol for insurrection with no guns. Why do you politicians forget to talk about the real insurrection? The real insurrection that happened throughout 2021, all of last year. Maybe even 2020, if I'm not mistaken. What about the insurrections up in Washington State, where Black Lives Matter and Antifa took over city blocks for months? You don't classify that as an insurrection? As I recall, city blocks were taken over for weeks. Weeks. Police stations taken over. Gangsters running around with AK-47s requiring people to show ID. No police allowed, no government officials allowed, autonomous zones. But they don't classify as an insurrection. And if I'm not mistaken, the same thing happened in New York. The same thing happened in a couple of the states. I think the same thing happened over there in Minnesota. There was plenty of insurrections going on that year. The people were mad. The people were upset. There were insurrections all over the country. There was a lot of property destroyed. A lot of businesses burned down. Police stations taken over and police officers killed. How is it that we all sit here and we seen the insurrections? We seen the city blocks being burnt. We seen police stations being taken over, cars flipped over, and borders put up where no government officials was allowed to come in. We seen that. Why come nobody says there was an insurrection also? Why? Because no black people was at the Capitol other than me, apparently. So it wasn't a protest. Because y'all see on the TV a bunch of white people. It's an insurrection. I'm confused. Because I'm pretty sure when I watched the autonomous zones, I thought that was an insurrection. I said, these people are rising up and they are taking over. They're taking over the police station. They're taking over blocks. People can't even go to work. They have to check in with street thugs with guns. If that wasn't an insurrection, I don't know what it is. Y'all need to leave this January 6th stuff alone. Stop believing the hype. Stop believing the hype. They did not show y'all people praying. They did not show y'all people fellowshipping. Everything that you see on camera, especially these documentaries, y'all got to understand this is a documentary, this is a presentation, this is brought to you by someone to paint a certain picture for you. Again, y'all want to talk about insurrection, y'all need to look at the whole year of what was going on. In case y'all ain't realized, Trump supporters had not gathered none that year. None that year. They had stopped gathering of people above 10, 15 people, but just before the pandemic, Trump supporters was filling out stadiums, hundreds of thousands of people. Trump rallies. They brought that to a quick halt. No more gathering of people. Do y'all remember? Just before they stopped having people gather, there was Trump rallies everywhere. That was the biggest gatherings in America, was Trump rallies. No gatherings above a certain amount of people. Okay, no more Trump rallies. But what was allowed to happen? Black Lives Matter and Antifa was allowed to rally all over the country, take over city blocks, rip down statues, burn shit, destroy shit, loot shit. I mean, come on. Y'all don't want to say it. I'm black and y'all gonna get mad because I'm saying it. But I don't care about that. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Y'all seen America that whole year being insurged upon. The whole year. Then when Trump supporters get together, finally get a chance to get together on January the 6th, some bad things did happen. But I'm going to sum it up just like this. That was not the intention of the situation. That was not the intention. And I'm going to sum it up like this. And I'm sure the same thing happens at these Black Lives Matter rallies, Antifa rallies, you know, Trayvon Martin rallies or whatever. I'm sure the same thing happens. What happens is people go there with good intentions, just like people did on January the 6th. And somehow it's people in the crowd without good intentions. It's always people in the crowd without good intentions. I don't care what you're marching about, or what you're arguing about or protesting about. There's always people there who's not there for the actual cause. They come there with frozen water bottles, bats, knee pads. They ready to go. Okay, that's what happened on January the 6th. The same thing happened. The crowds get infiltrated. The problem is, and I'm hoping that we can change this in America, is that the people who's always causing this chaos, January the 6th, up there in Minnesota, Washington State, most of the time those are the minority amount of people. Those are the minority. If it's 1,000 people, it's probably 100 of them that feel that way. The other 900, I forgot what numbers I was saying, but you understand what I'm saying? The majority of the people are not with it. The majority of the people are not with it. So why is it, just like January the 6th, I'll use my case for example, hundreds of thousands of people there. Maybe a few hundred wanted to be assholes. Why is it that the other hundreds of thousands of people didn't stop the assholes from doing what they were doing? And that's my biggest regret. And I'm sure that happens all the time when people protest. There's always some assholes out of the group that mess everything up and make the whole situation look bad. And the people who's there for something else, the positive people, the people that's there to bring change, they sit back and just watch, the stores burn, the destruction of property. It's time for righteous people to stand up. Righteous people in all aspects. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, where you stand on the spectrum right now. It's time for righteous people to stand up. When you see things going on that's unrighteous, you have to intervene. Especially, I'm going to say this for an example, in the hood. Black people like myself. All this crime and shit that we got in our hood, it's 500 people in our neighborhood. 100 of them want to be drug dealers. Why the other 400 people ain't getting rid of the drug dealers and bangers in the neighborhood? It's always the minority amount of people messing things up for the majority of people. And it's time for righteous people, the majority of us who are righteous, to stand up and make differences in things that's happening around us all over this country. Okay? And I'm going to leave it like that. I got access to my Instagram again. I've been shut down for 39 weeks, but I'm glad to be back on here. I'm going to keep talking my talk. God bless you. God bless America. I'm Seymour Views. Peace amongst the people. Do not let these politicians keep sizing y'all up about an insurrection, an insurrection, an insurrection. I don't know what's going on. Alarm going on, but I'll be back on here tomorrow. God bless y'all, man.